Authors Mark Cornelius and Traci Loecker share their experiences exploring methods for illuminating a storyline to maximize the writer reader relationship. Writers Wrestling invites you to join in on a conversation not about what to write, but about how to write. Welcome to Writers Wrestling. That would be Traci Loecker waving right there. This is Mark Cornelius waving here. And I don't know how many of you out there are waving back, but we're glad to have you here today. And we're just going to talk about, again, some of our writing experiences. And one of the subjects, and this is to Traci's credit, she came up with a great question, which is, what do you do? Where do you write? What do you do about it? What's your environment like? So this episode is called The Right, WRITE, Time and Place. So, Traci, I'll just start off. We'll get right to the point here. When you get ready to write, what do you do?
When I get ready to write, it used to be in my mind, well, I needed this, beautiful space or this little cabin out in the woods and just be totally, submersed into my writing. Eventually, I just got to the point where, which is what I do now, is first of all, I have to make sure my surrounding is pretty well picked up, cleaned up, especially when I'm writing at home.
Yeah.
I also want to make sure my environment is, if I'm drinking out of my favorite coffee cup, which I do, that it's full, that my pencils and or whatever I'm using is good to go. What I'm saying is the least amount of times I have to get up out of my chair, the better, because I can easily become, what's the word I'm looking for? I can be kind of scattered or, on to the next thing. Whereas if I'm focused at my desk doing my thing, I'm good to go. How about
That's
you?
a really good point. And you brought up a issue, which is distractions.
Distractions. That is the word. Yes.
Yeah, telephone calls, people in the house, noises, things on your desk that just take you away from the writing moment.
Exactly.
Right. So that's a very good point. Um, I'll bring up one that for me is important, and it's been important for a long time because when I started writing, I had to weigh this out. Um, the time I write, when do I write? And I found it's not so much a preference of mine, it's an ability of mine. I am much more alert and focused very early in the morning. And so I that's when I do most of my writing is early. Um, and it's interesting you said that about environments in the cabin or whatever. I did a lot of writing at a coffee shop at one time,
Mhm.
and that was good. I actually don't mind uh, people around me or people doing things. I guess it's the voyeur in me. I can
Mhm.
create characters that way.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that person over there, eating the puffy muffin or something like that, would be perfect for a story. So people might actually get written into the books and never know it. But that's one thing I do now. Really like to just sit down, like you say, with a comfortable cup of coffee and just zoom in on it, and that's the other thing. I There's a danger with me. I become immersed,
Mhm.
and I wake up, and it's 4 hours later.
Mhm.
that's a that's a trying to describe that to other people, it literally is a time warp.
It
So
is. And I think you and I have talked about this before, but I can literally, and I am also a writer in the morning. I love being able to get up probably 5 a.m. and write for a good 2 hours because I'm still working full time. So I
right,
still try to get in front of my work computer by 8 a.m. But to have that quiet, focused time of just quiet, I absolutely love it. I also agree with you that going to a coffee shop can be very interesting. In fact, if I can go to a coffee shop and have a window,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and whether it's raining, whether it's sunny, it can that environment can absolutely influence my writing. And there are times where I will go back and read what I wrote maybe a couple of days ago, but because I was so immersed into it, I sometimes I'll look at it and go, "Oh my gosh, I actually wrote that." Because it can just start flowing and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
incredible. So, yeah.
I'll share a funny one because when I lived down in Tennessee, there was a place that I would go to write sometimes a book,
Mhm.
and it was of all things, it was a monastery,
Oh,
an abbey for Benedictines. I'm not associated with them at all, but they made it available for people. The only condition, and a wonderful condition, was no talking,
I love it.
period. And if you've never tried that out there, folks, it sounds like a challenge. What do you mean no talking? You mean all day? Yes, all day, total silence. But you do that for a couple of days and it changes your whole perspective.
Um,
Um, that the funny part about it was I was writing and just really into my work and doing that. And all of a sudden I hear this voice, Mark Cornelius, and in total silence. And I'm going, and of course, where do I look? you know,
Yes, Scott.
yeah, yes. I was a little unnerved by it. And I turn around and there's this gentleman monk dressed in robe and all of that. And I go, yes, I'm Mark Cornelius. First words I had spoken in a couple of days.
Wow.
He said, there's a phone call for you. And I'm freaking out. And it was a very bizarre little thing. I'd gotten away, really far away from everything, but uh, it's a funny but sad story in a way. This elderly lady was picking up her grandkids from a violin lesson across the street from our house, and she was coming down the driveway and hit the accelerator instead of the brake and ran into our house.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Good book stuff, right? There's one right there. But that's the funny thing. You can be in the right environment at the wrong time, or you
Yes.
can be in the wrong environment at the right time.
Yep.
So the experiment is all I guess I'm saying. Try some of these different methods that Tracy and I have talked about. Um, Now, and you mentioned something else, which I wasn't going to bring up, but good for you. You have pencils and paper. So do you write everything out?
When I'm researching or
Mm,
doing like maybe a family tree,
mm,
I am writing it out in pen and paper. I also write out, and I don't know if I have it here. Oh, yeah, I do. But I keep really good notes on the date I'm writing, the day of time I'm writing, how long I wrote for, how many words I was at. Either I will write down, I'll open my document right away and write down the amount of words because I want to keep track on, especially in the early days when I was still trying to find my groove. I
mm.
want to know what time of day was I writing where I wrote the most words, or what time of day was I writing when I wrote this section, because this part of my book just seemed to flow so easily. I'm so sorry.
interesting. And you just taught me something. Well, I probably won't track it that way, but that's a really good idea. And a lot of people are looking at I in that same way, in a
Mhm.
straight way. I found out that writing in the morning is just it. You know,
Right, right.
my groove just goes right to it. If I do it at night, there's some work involved.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
so
Or sometimes when I can't sleep, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, a lot of times if I know, I don't know, like if I can just tell with my body, like I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight, I'll have my laptop
yes,
sitting right
yeah,
there. That way, in case I do, sometimes I'll just say, okay, you're going to go back to sleep. Other times it's like, okay, I'm not fighting it. I'm just going to, and I'll start writing. So in that respect, I will write on my laptop. If I know that I'm going to be writing to get a chapter done or get a
hmm
scene done, then I will do it on my laptop. But like I said, if I'm researching or if I'm not necessarily in the groove of writing, but know I want to get something accomplished, then I'll try to be creative in other ways. Whereas I'll do a family tree of one of my families, or I will, like I said, do some research on, you know,
right.
some statistics on what I'm writing about. Sometimes that can really influence me. I also want to talk about too, my husband and I do a lot of traveling, as you guys do as well.
hmm
There was a time where we went out to the hills here in South Dakota, West River, and we had parked our motorhome in this RV spot that was like confined, and like all of the RVs were so much closer than what we normally do. But friends of ours were coming through and that's where they were. So we said, okay, let's do it. What surprised me so much was I was able to bring out my lawn chair with the little, tray
hmm
or
hmm
whatever and set my coffee on there. The having the evergreens and the smell and
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
being so close to being to nature, the words just flowed. And within 2 days, I had 10,000 words. I was like, what just happened? But
Uh-huh.
it was that environment. And I just
Oh,
went
yeah.
with, oh my gosh, it was incredible. So
And folks, that's a really good point. You can get inspired and write anywhere.
yeah.
Uh, and you also brought up another thing. I have literally dreamed events and books and whatever.
Mhm.
You know, one of them, Keeper. You know, literally woke up out of a dead sleep. Go, oh my gosh, there it is. And you wake up, get out of bed, write it down.
Yeah. Yes.
'Cause if
Yes.
you don't, you
You
wake
might.
up the next morning and go, now what was that I was thinking about?
Yes. And it was so good when
I
you were,
know it was good. I
"Oh,
knew it
yes,
was
I
great.
remember this. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. So, and that's another issue. Then, we talk about distractions, what inspires you. You just hit on that, and I could tell you story after story of things where I was in a particular place and said, this is where, and it might not have anything to do with the story. As a matter of fact, typically it doesn't,
Right. Right.
but it could or it
Yeah.
could not. So, folks, decide not just where you're going to write, but what you're going to write. Um, if you need a pencil or whatever, every once in a while, yeah, I'll jot down notes.
Yeah.
I'm typing away, and then I'll say, no, I want to get
Mhm.
this over here. So it's that multifunction.
Yep.
But try different things. Don't get locked into one way of doing it.
Right.
Even though you might have a comfort zone, try some different venues. Try some different ways of writing. And some of you might be out there drawing pictures with your writing.
Yeah.
Have at it. That's a great idea, whether you use them in the book or not. So get visual. Well, hey, talk about distraction. We're almost out of time.
Oh my gosh.
So I want to give a personal shout out that this weekend, which is April the 18th,
Yes.
yeah, that's Saturday the 18th, here in Mitchell, South Dakota. So this is for all you local folk. Um, Traci and I both will be at the Mitchell Library, Mitchell, South Dakota Library. And I say locals, y'all could fly in and come see us. That would be fine. Um, but we're going to be in there reading some of our children's stories and just sharing with the audience who may or may not be children. Just some of our writings. So we'd love to have you along, encouraging us, and maybe we can share with you some things additionally. So I just really want to thank you all for listening to us. And Tracy, any other thoughts or comments or anything else you think are important?
No, just keep writing, everybody.
Keep writing, right on.
Right on.
We will keep talking about this. And if you have questions, uh, follow up by listening to the end of this podcast, and you'll see our information. You can write to us or contact us, and we'll answer any questions we can. Thank you very much to one and all, and to you, Tracy.
Bye, Mark.
Thanks for joining Writers Wrestling. Feel free to communicate with us with questions, reactions, and suggestions. You can also visit our websites for more information. And